Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's Rugby Championship Round 1 Team of the Week. One of my favorite videos to do because it always creates a bit of controversy. And some people will agree, some people will disagree, some people will back the selection, some people will question selections. And obviously, everybody sort of interprets a game, watches a game, and takes different things out of it. So for me, it's always interesting to see, a player that I think played well or was the best in their position this weekend, and some people might not even think they played well, or that they definitely didn't deserve to be in a team of the week. So first things first, I want you to watch the video and see what my team of the week is. Let me know what you would change down in the comments below. Give me your team of the week in the comments below as well. This is the whole point, isn't it? It's about seeing who we all thought played well or didn't play well, and where we sort of make the changes. Now, before I go through my 15, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, people that have seen this before will know I do not name a bench. It is just a 1 through to 15. It is Springbok heavy, New Zealand heavy, and I've got no Australian players in there. I almost managed to squeeze one in. We'll talk about it a little bit. But it was difficult. It was difficult because we saw two very polished performances from the Springboks and the All Black. Well, when you say polished, I think the Springboks could get a lot better. I think that they did butcher a few opportunities. But at the end of the day, you can't complain about any sort of result where you score 40 plus points. Similarly with the All Blacks, where they were absolutely scintillating for about 20-25 minutes in that first half. Second half, I thought Argentina did quite well to nullify them actually, and very much grew into the game and started holding on to possession. But again, when you score 40 plus, it means that you were very good for a certain amount of part of the game, and you were good enough in the other parts to sort of make sure that it wasn't a 40 points to 35, and it just wasn't this free try scoring game, So yeah, in terms of the team that I have named, this is what I have gone with. Right, so let's go through it, shall we? In my front row, this was basically trying to sort of combine the South African New Zealand front row. So what I've done is I put Steven Kitshoff in there, and I put Frans Mahherbe in my two props. Now, I thought Ethan de Groot as well as Terrell Lomax could very easily have gone there. Bit of a flip of the coin, to be honest. I think Frans Mahherbe for me is one of the most underrated players in world rugby. The work rate he gets to, obviously, I mean, as a tight head, as a scrummager, he gets the best of most people. It's very, very rare that you see Frans Mahherbe being, pushed backwards. But for me, he's not a big ball carrier, but his defensive work, the ROUX hit he gets around the park, his role in organizing the defense as well is so important. And he just sort of quietly goes about his day. Steven Kitshoff, I thought, had an absolute blinder as well. But I am quite impressed with the two New Zealand props. It is an area where I think that I've been saying I think New Zealand have had to improve on in the last couple of years. Is getting a front row that can dominate other opposition, and those who definitely did. I did go with Dan Coles at hooker. I thought that Bongi Manambi was pretty good in the loose, and line-out work was pretty dreadful though. Joseph Deba didn't have too much time. To be honest, I think for me it was Dan Coles versus Julian Montoya, who in a losing cause worked really hard. I think he topped the tackle charts, carried a lot, had a lot of energy, played I think a good about 70 minutes almost. So I was very impressed with him. But I've gone with Dan Coles, who kind of rolled back the years, didn't he? I mean, he showed the pace he had. First of all, in that try he scored, but also not that it actually ended up matching, but in that sort of defending instance when that kick came in from behind, and he managed to keep up with I can't remember who it was exactly, one of the Argentina backline players very well, and actually got there first. So I was pretty impressed with Dan Coles in his first start in quite a while. In the second row, I've gone with Jean Klein and Scott Barrett. I was very impressed with Marvin Orie. I thought he had one of his best games in a Springbok jersey. And I thought that Josh Law, for somebody who hasn't played a lot of rugby, was pretty good as well. But I've gone with those two. I think it's pretty fair. I thought that John Klein was absolutely excellent on his Springbok debut. And Scott Barrett sort of continued the form that he's been showing. It'll be interesting to see how they sort of, got Brody Metallic, Sam Whitelock to fit in. So does Scott Barrett go into the flanks, for example? I thought that Lavanini tried quite hard for Argentina, but wasn't particularly effective. And if we're being brutally honest about the Australian locks, they were quite absent, weren't they? Will Skelton didn't manage to impose himself. Neither did Nick Frost. And nothing too much off the bench from any of the teams, really. The loose trio, I've got Marco Baston. I think that's a pretty easy pick. I have managed to find space for Pablo Matero, who I thought was probably the best Argentinian player. He kept trying to make things happen, trying to create something. I thought he carried the ball a lot. He made a lot of tackles. He kept trying. He often tried to take the defense to New Zealand, trying to sort of go up the line. I think he was the top tackler alongside, also the top carrier of the ball alongside Artie Severe in the game. I think making 15 tackles, and he also, 15 carries rather, and also got through quite a lot of work on defense. So I managed to find space for him. And then I've gone with Dwayne Vermeulen. You could have probably gone with Artis Sevilla, who was characteristically very good. But I thought that Dwayne Vermeulen really, as an overall game, was probably the superior player. You kind of also rolled back the years, didn't he? And especially as a captain as well. But he also, I think for me, what was quite important is that he looked like he's got a bit of edge of pace back, and his fitness looked a lot better. I think he got through the game quite a lot and still managed to bring that impact. Halfback pairing, I've gone with the New Zealand halfback pairing. I didn't think Koos Reinach was bad, and I thought that Martin Lieberg had quite a sound game and definitely grew into the game and had a pretty good game. But I thought that Aaron Smith and Damian McKenzie were really good. I think that Damian McKenzie, has played himself into the 15 for this weekend. Whether it's at 10 or whether it's at fullback, I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see if they do want to back him at 10. But he's back in the New Zealand shirt, back at 10, and I thought he played really well. And was combining very nice with Beauden Barrett. That combination actually was very interesting. And another question is, where does Richie Mo'unga fit in, especially with Geordie Barrett at 12, who had an absolute blinder, which is why the next one's going to be quite controversial in terms of the centres there. But Damian McKenzie and Aaron Smith, I think those two, Aaron Smith's he's Aaron Smith, isn't he? Controls the game, never throws a bad pass, knows when to speed up play, knows when to slow it down. A bit of a masterclass again from him. The two wings, I've gone with Kirkley Arendse and Emoji Narawa. Narawa with a try on debut. He also made, I think, about 12 or 13 tackles, didn't miss a single one. And I think a defensive aspect of wing is very underrated. Kirkley Arendse slipped 1 or 2 tackles, but generally was very good at defense and then scored a hat-trick. It's not hard to try and justify him. So those two were quite easy picks. And then the centers, I've gone with Andre Esterhuizen over Geordie Barrett, who I think actually got man of the match in that game against Argentina. Again, a bit of a flip of a coin, really. Being a South African, I'm always going to be slightly biased towards South Africa, but I just thought that Andre Esterhuizen had so much influence on the game. His offload game, his kicking game, his carrying game. I thought that he ticked almost every single box you'd want him to tick. I do, however, think that Geordie Barrett moving to 12, it could be one of the best things the All Blacks ever do. To have, first of all, that skill set, the boot, and another playmaker, I've got that sort of 10, 12, 15 access, is I think going to be a very big plus for the All Blacks. Very interesting to see how it goes. I do think he could become one of the top inside centers in world rugby if he continues sort of the upward trajectory, and I think it was a very smart move to move him there. Ricky Warner gets the number 13. I thought about Lenny Katal, who I thought was, tried pretty hard in a losing effort. He made a couple of nice big tackles, made a couple of mistakes, but you could see he was one of the few Australian players who actually arrived and were there to play. I've gone with Rico Awani, he's shown a little bit. There's a big debate about, isn't it? Whether he is, an international 13, whether that is the best position. I don't think it's the best position, but the All Blacks always have wings and wings and wings. So it's a very easy way of keeping him in the team and still freeing up space for the likes of the Caleb Clark, Narawa, Mark Tellier. There's so many other wings as well that could be joining up with that sort of backline. So I've gone with Rico Awani, who I thought had one of his better games. If you can play like that most weekends, I think he'll start to sort of alleviate the doubt that comes with him playing at 13. And then Beauden Barrett or Willie le Roux. I've gone with Willie le Roux. I will not be taking questions on this selection. I thought Willie le Roux was absolutely superb. I think a lot of what Kirkley Arendse and Kane Moody did can be attributed to the calmness of Willie le Roux. I thought he kicked well for touch. I thought he was never caught out positionally. He defensively was very good. And really, with the new sort of attacking pattern that the Springboks have, I thought he was one of the best games I've seen him play. A bit of a faultless performance. Equally, Beauden Barrett I thought was very good for New Zealand. It was interesting to see how they sort of changed first receiver on defense and on attack, or rather where they were in the field. I thought the combination with Damian McKenzie, those two seem to be on quite a good wavelength. So, and obviously he's always going to have a pretty good relationship with his brother. So I think that's a very interesting axis. Again, the issue is how do you get a Richie Mo'unga into the fray, because when he's playing well, he's one of the best 10s, if not the best 10 in the world as well. So that is my team of the week. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what you would change. I think for me, the tough ones with the front rows were both pretty good. I thought Andre Esterhuizen and Geordie Barrett were pretty hard to decipher between the two of them. Similarly with Willie le Roux and Beauden Barrett. Apart from that, I think there are a couple of other standouts, but generally I do think that team is pretty fair. More South Africans than New Zealanders. I was more impressed by the South Africans overall 80. I thought New Zealand were brilliant in the first half. Argentina were pretty poor in the first half. But once Argentina sort of clicked in the second half, New Zealand really found it tough going and didn't manage to capitalize. as much as they would like to have. Whereas I think South Africa also didn't capitalize as much, but still managed to score 40 points, despite butchering quite a few opportunities. Could have been 60, 70 points had they been a bit more accurate. But I want to know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.